Sounds good. Yeah, thanks, TJ. So I'm Joe Hamilton. I have a degree in mental health counseling, and I worked for 30 years at Truman State University as a mental health counselor, helping college students with their mental health concerns. And a very common concern in mental health, it doesn't matter who you are, what age group, what population, anxiety is probably going to be the most common mental health issue that we therapists see. And so it's a very common, we all have anxiety to some level. And sometimes something can just happen. Might not be anything we experience or have control over in any way, but we can have an anxiety response, and then it can develop into more of an issue. But we all experience it. Just part of being human is to experience anxiety.
Perfect. Thanks for that, Joe. And yeah, so I met Joe when I was working as an advisor at SIUE. Now he's still an advisor there now, but he gave us a lot of resources, especially going into the pandemic as advisors to kind of help students and kind of be an advocate for them in those kind of ways as well. So hopefully we can get into that. But honestly, everybody else that's in here, the more questions y'all ask, the more you kind of think about what we're talking about in terms of you, like your personal situations, whatever you personally struggle with in anxiety. Obviously, seeing a medical professional is always recommended if you can, but this is at least going to give you a starting point to kind of figure out what that looks like, because anxiety is different for everyone. I know I still have anxiety for different things. It just looks different now as I've gotten older. When I was younger, the pressure of life kind of kicked in, which I'll get in a little bit more of that later about things that I felt like my anxiety kind of stemmed from just pressures that I felt for myself. But yeah, I digress. So we'll go right into kind of the next realm of the question, right? So what is anxiety? Kind of touched on it a little bit. So Joe, can you help explain like what anxiety is? Like what if somebody, not necessarily a feeling, but how do you describe anxiety?
Yeah, so anxiety is really just a biological reaction that all animals have that is there to keep them safe from danger. And so there's a part of our brain called the amygdala, and that's the part that responds. It's kind of paying attention all the time, even no matter where we are, what we're doing. It's always paying attention and keeping us safe from danger. And so if it senses, that fear response, then it will react. And so we all animals have the fight, flight, or freeze response. And we're no different as humans. There are certainly times when we can be in dangerous situations where we have to react quickly to keep us safe. Most of the time, the flight response is best. We want to stay away from whatever the dangerous situation is and flee the situation if we can. But sometimes we do have to fight, and sometimes we don't have any control about our response, and we'll freeze, and we just kind of freeze, and we can't do anything. So those can be some really scary situations. But yeah, so that's a reason why we have anxiety as humans, is it's a response to keep us safe from danger. Unfortunately, a lot of the things that the rest of our brain interprets as dangerous really are not life-threatening. But yet, that part of our brain, the amygdala, is not very good about determining whether something is life-threatening or if it's just something that's like maybe embarrassing or scary in a way. And so a lot of the everyday times when we feel that anxious or nervous feeling, we that part of us might still be triggered, even though we're not, really in a life-threatening kind of danger, but our body responds as if we are, and then so suddenly we can have this overwhelming feeling of like fear, anxiety, and then that can make it challenging for us to function at our best. So you can think about, like, there are certain times when we want that excitement, right? So there are a lot of times when people seek out to have that kind of fight or flight reaction in a way. Like if you're on a roller coaster, or if you go skydiving, or if you're watching a scary movie, you get that same sort of, um, emotional response in our bodies. And so that just is a way to kind of illustrate how when we have that experience, how the rest of our brain interprets what's happening plays a big difference in how we experience that emotion. And so if we start to be more afraid, more worried, then that anxiety feeling is going to be more intense. But if we can kind of have some awareness of what's happening, use the rest of our brain to say like, hey, it's okay, I got this, I can handle this situation, then that helps reduce that fight or flight response that we experience.
Thank you. Thank you for that. Yeah, because honestly, I think like you mentioned, that fight or flight, it's a big thing we all kind of going to now, especially after the pandemic and everybody's kind of in this in the house moment, or like everybody's kind of thinking about what's going on around us. But I was thinking even if anybody wants to, I'll leave like one or two people to say it. You don't necessarily have to turn your camera on, but like for me, anxiety hit me a little bit differently. So not hit differently, but everyone has different ways of experiencing it. For me, my example of anxiety, my wife was even telling me about the other day. Back in high school, I was so worried about getting a scholarship. I was kind of like nervous about it. So I'll spend a lot of time in the gym, just kind of make sure I can prepare myself athletically. But like just even thinking about like losing sleep at night, thinking about how much I was worried about not getting a scholarship, and what would happen if I didn't get the scholarship, and like how that anxiety kind of, it pushed me to be better as an athlete and kind of really work harder at what I wanted. But it also, for me, I had a lot of nights where I didn't sleep, where I was waking up doing basketball drills in my sleep, or whatever the case may be. But yeah, that was something that I struggled with anxiety wise, and I got better as I got older and started understanding coping skills. But I would say anybody else have one or two things or anything that makes you feel anxious or makes you feel like you have anxiety sometimes. Unmute yourself if you can. Well, you should be able to unmute yourself and let us know what you think, or what's one thing, one or two things you feel like make you anxious.
Yeah, and TJ was talking about something like a worry, right? That because it was so important to you, and so much kind of you felt like was riding on that it created a lot of worry, a lot of pressure. So yeah, that certainly then can lead to what we call like a chronic or ongoing type of anxious feeling. If we just have a little, if we have an anxious feeling that lasts some, very short term when we're scared, or feel like we're in danger, and then the danger or fear passes, and we get back to feeling like our normal self again, that usually is okay. It's pretty adaptive, and it doesn't usually affect our long-term physical or mental health. But when you have it on a chronic basis, meaning a regular basis, right, something like that, like a worry, or feeling anxious pretty much constantly, or maybe lots of things cause you to be fearful, that's the kind of when it becomes more of an issue with our health, and then you want to learn ways to cope with it. So yeah, so what are that's so TJ was asking y'all about, what are some of the ways that you feel like, what might be some things that happen in your body, how your body reacts to anxiety? Anybody have so part of it might just be the nervous feeling, but also it can be like maybe racing heart, or maybe a tingly kind of feeling, or butterflies in your stomach. What sort of things do you all experience when you're feeling anxious?
Appreciate it. We're going to give you all a few moments to kind of think about it, or put in, even if you want to just privately chat me, if you go to the chat, even if you go to the chat and you say it's like a blue box that says to everyone, even if you just click on my name, you click on my name and then let me know what your anxiety is, I can also read it out loud, so that way you don't feel like you are putting your own
could be anonymous.
Yes, very anonymous, and that way if you feel
that way we don't know who said what, that's fine.
Yeah, because honestly,
I guarantee you though, it's all things that we all experience. Just like I said, it's just part of being human. It's okay.
Yeah, so go
We
ahead.
all experience anxiety at some level.
Yeah, for sure. Go ahead. Anybody that wants to, or probably message me and I'll read out loud for you. But I'm gonna give you like 30 seconds or 45 seconds just so to honor the silence. 'Cause I think that's something also that as humans we're not used to doing as much, or just honoring the silence, letting people think through the time,
Yeah.
processing through the questions. We just do a lot of information actually just about anxiety in itself and what that actually means. So think about how that affects you, or ways that what times that you feel that way. Just let us know either in the chat, or we'll give you. I'll start the timer here. We'll go 45 seconds, and if we don't have anything by that point, we'll just kind of go on to the next question.
Okay.
At least that way it gives everyone a chance to kind of think through it.
Right. So now, TJ, you said that oh, it looks like I have something there.
Okay. Go ahead.
Meeting new people.
Oh yeah. Okay. So yeah, when you experience meeting new people, it's a pretty common thing to be nervous when we talk to strangers, right? And again, there's probably a reason for that. Before we know if we can trust with someone, it's probably okay to be a little bit, what's the word I'm looking for? Like just aware, right?
Yeah.
To pay attention. And so when we're meeting new people and we don't have that trust established yet, then that's our body saying like, hey, we need to pay attention here and make sure that this is someone that is safe. And so it's a very natural thing to feel nervous when we're meeting new people. And so you just want to, kind of trust that part of yourself and be like, well, it's okay to feel nervous in this situation. I don't know this person. I don't have any reason to trust them yet. And so I can be, polite and everything, but it's also okay to be on guard a little bit. And so we want to trust those feelings in our body when they're saying that we should pay attention. Well, that's basically what it's doing. It's saying, hey, we don't know if this situation is safe yet. Doesn't necessarily mean it's not a safe situation, but it's your body telling you, it's a new situation. So we don't know yet if it's safe or not. And so just be, you can kind of say, well, thanks, body. Thanks for telling me I should be a little, paying attention here because it's a new situation. But, I can just pay attention to that and it'll be okay. Those feelings as hopefully that's a nice person and it is someone you can trust. And then those feelings will dissipate. And if it's not, then you probably need to let people know if it's, something's going on that makes you feel uncomfortable around that person.
Yeah, for sure, especially even online too. Even I know we're in a world of like,
oh yeah,
not in person a whole lot, but even if you're online and somebody messages you or comments on something that makes you feel uncomfortable, it's never a problem to block someone on social media if you have to. But if you want to make sure report them or report to somebody else that if you're in junior high or high school, just if you can, just protect yourself in that way too. So that anxiety also, factors in, like you said, meeting new people and understanding who's in your environment and these different things. So social media is also big. So keep that in mind for everyone that is kind of thinking, even if you're thinking in person, that also goes for online, because stranger danger is serious. There's some weird people in the world, unfortunately. So hopefully this helps you also prepare for that. But
yeah, so it's okay to trust that feeling. Yeah.
Yeah, appreciate that, Kenzie. And anybody else, we have time for one more. If anybody else wants to say anything that makes them nervous, either I know I've talked about sports a little bit, but even if you like music, or if you like anything performing, or performing for a test, studying for a test, or you're nervous about studying for a test, those are things that also obviously have some anxiety to go along with them. So if we don't have anything now, it's perfectly fine. Just start thinking about it for yourself. And then I may ask everyone else later on if you have anything else that you would like to say. But the question that I was kind of going into next from this is, what are some of the ways that anxiety can affect someone in junior high, high school, or college? My personal experience, like I mentioned, was, Joe kind of talked about it as well, but mine was mainly going into basketball, or more so academics. Just so my future was riding on whatever my behavior was. So I feel like at that time I put a lot of pressure on myself to do certain things, which it may feel different from for junior high kids. But Joe, I don't know, especially since you worked at the college level, mainly with those level of college students, do you have any tips or anything that usually does give anxiety for kids in junior high or high school that you would know of off the top of your head?
Well, I mean, I think especially that age, for like teens and preteens, that's a very time when the social aspects of life are very prominent, right? Like figuring out like where do I fit in, and there can be a lot of pressure around that with teenagers. So, where do I fit in? Certainly making friends. And so, yeah, I think that's a very common form of anxiety is something we call social anxiety. And if you think about, anxiety being based in fear, in it used to be if someone was shunned or maybe like, the tribe basically said, "Hey, we don't like you anymore. You have to leave." Then that could mean that that person's life was in danger, right? Because they were like banished and had to survive on their own. And so we still have that very strong part of us that wants to be accepted by our peers around us and the people around us, and because that's part of what keeps us safe. And so whenever we have experiences that say we're maybe not accepted or just something like embarrassing happens, right?
Mhm.
Then that creates a lot of anxiety because we have that kind of instinct in us that we need to be accepted. And so definitely social, I mean, the social anxiety is a part for almost everybody their whole lives, but especially in like, you know, middle school, junior high, high school. That's a time when those social interactions are so important. And because, our identity, meaning like who we are and what we want to be and how people perceive us, those are things that really are very important in how we see ourselves socially. And so that makes us feel anxious or nervous whenever we're confused about those things or we feel like other people don't understand us or don't accept us for who we are.
Those are great. Those are great, especially the social anxiety. Because I know a lot of time, like you mentioned, even like you said on the friend perspective of it, you may have a friend that may be going through that, but you're not. You don't. This one mental health is one of those things where somebody could have the worst mental health breakdown that they could be going through, but on the outside they look completely calm. So
Right.
it's one of those things. If even if somebody's not showing it, to be able to support them or be considerate, I think in being in those social environments where kids are going to be kids make jokes, they make
Yeah.
say things that aren't super nice to each other, but at the same time understanding that even as a kid that somebody may be going home and having a terrible day, or somebody may be going through some things. So understanding, taking, if somebody has an attitude one day or something that's going on, try to have grace, give them grace as well as you give yourself, especially in those social situations, because no one's perfect, but if you're able to support someone in the process, it's always helpful. But also take care of yourself first. So yeah, although we want to help people, we want to have you help others if you can. You have to take care and invest in the main. You're star player. I mean, you are your star player. No matter what case you look at it, you have to make sure you take care of yourself and you're comfortable with your mental space wherever you're at. That you're comfortable there, and getting comfortable, because it may not be comfortable at first. But like you said, the social anxieties, and I think as you get older,
Mhm.
you work through those things as you start thinking about it. But keep that in mind. Just try to give everyone grace around you, because you may have a friend that's super nice one day, then they go home and come back the next day and they're in a terrible mood. There may be something going on at home. So that's just kind of be aware that underlying mental health issues aren't is something you're going to see immediately. So like I didn't see them act differently until you really hit you, right? So I think if you can be a good supporter that way, that's also nice. But yeah, I
Yeah.
appreciate that, Joe. Thank you, especially for the social anxiety. I'm put a little blurb about that in the actual YouTube video, or when I put it all together, try to send it out to everyone. So, going on, it kind of goes right into our next question. I guess as far as anxiety, like you mentioned, knowing when it happens, kind of understanding the worry, you kind of talked about the fight or flight mentality. So like things, what are some skills or ways that you can work through anxiety? Like if you're going through an anxiety attack, or you're feeling extremely uncomfortable in a moment and you just feel overwhelmed, what are some
Hmm.
things or skills or coping methods that can help them do that?
Yeah. So one way to think about how you develop the skills to manage your anxiety is to think about how anxiety affects us, right? And so there are some things that we can do that will help us have better control over how we're thinking. And so part of what exacerbates or makes anxiety become more difficult for us is when we start to worry more, or we're just kind of having thoughts that are negative in our mind, right? So when we become anxious, sometimes we'll be saying to our self things that then make our amygdala, right, that part of our brain that causes that fight or flight, to think that we're in more danger, right? And so if we're saying things like, I can't handle this, this is scary, what if I embarrass myself? Those things then will create more anxiety. Okay, so this is what we call about our self-talk, or it's usually thoughts, but if you want to say things out loud to be calming to yourself, that's okay. But how we think or talk to ourselves can either exacerbate or like make it bigger, our anxiety, or we can say things to ourselves that helps us like relax and be more calm. And so what can be helpful is if you practice how you talk to yourself, right? So we just kind of want to make it just an everyday thing that we practice, just like all other skills. So like, TJ, basketball player, right? You are regularly practicing your skills on a daily basis, I'm sure, for many years. So you could be the best basketball player you could be. Well, managing our anxiety is the same way, that if we want to be better at remaining calm, even in situations where things seem kind of scary, then we need to practice that when things aren't so scary, because that's when you get better. If the only time you ever played basketball was when it was actually during, an important game, you're never going to get better, right? Like that does not make you better. You need to practice at times when you're more relaxed, because that's when our skills really improve. And so same way with how you talk to yourself, right? So we want to talk to ourselves in ways that are positive and calming every day. And then that way, when we're having a kind of a rough patch or when things seem more scary, we have those skills to draw from. And so some people have what we call a mantra. So it's something that they say to themselves on a regular basis to help them feel maybe more confident or more calm. And so having like a phrase that you say all the time to help you kind of get centered and feel like, hey, it's okay, I can handle this. So that that might be the mantra right there. I can handle this. I'm a good person. It might be just a word like peace or calm. So really you just got to kind of figure out for you what is the best way to talk to yourself to give you in whatever kind of positive mindset that works for you. So sometimes when I have been talking with students that I'm working with, I'll ask them a lot of times, like, who talks to you in a way that makes you feel better, right? And so sometimes it can be a coach that they've had, maybe it's their, a grandparent, but just think about what are the sort of things that person says to you that just kind of instantly make you feel better. And then you want to remember that, hey, I can remember what that person said to me, or I can say it to myself, and that helps me feel better, or it makes me calm down, or makes me feel more confident, right? And so you have that ability, but it's remembering that all the time. Like what's reassuring to you, what helps you feel more positive, what makes you feel, or maybe just happy. We don't have to make it too complicated. And then that's what we want to tell to ourselves, like on a regular basis. And you can also figure out ways like, how do I make this part of my daily routine, right? So it could be maybe like every time you look in the mirror, you say that to yourself. So like, you could go throughout the day when you look at in the mirror and when you wake up, this is going to be a good day. I can handle it. And when you go to bed, tomorrow's going to be a good day. I can handle it, right? So think about what can you say to yourself to make you feel more confident. And then when you do start to feel those anxious feelings, and you've already practiced saying that to yourself when you're already in a relaxed state, then that's going to help have a calming effect. And you sort of like, it gets you recentered and be like, it's okay, I got this. All right, so that's how the mind part of it. The other part of anxiety is what's happening in our bodies. And so when we have sensations in our bodies that are similar to what happens when we have a fight or flight response, then that also triggers our brain to say, oh, we're in danger. It's not just our thoughts, but it's also, the things that are happening in our body that are similar to that anxiety response. So if our heart starts racing, we're going to think we're in danger. If we start having butterflies in our stomach, we're going to think we're in danger. If just our whole body is like tense, it's going to trigger this to think that we're in danger. So if you can practice things also to relax your body, then that's something that helps you manage the anxiety. And there's a lot of different things that people do to keep their body relaxed. Probably the most simple thing is just taking a deep breath. If you watch sports, right, I'm sure you've seen lots of players, like almost any time, if you have a good basketball player and they're at the free throw line, you're going to see that they're going to just pause a moment and take a deep breath before they take their shot. And those players do much better at making those shots than players who don't. It's because they take that moment, they take a deep breath, they get relaxed, and they just let the muscle memory kick in, right? They're not getting up too much, because when you're performing well in sports or anything, you don't want to get too much in your head, right? You don't want to overthink things. You want to just let it kind of flow. And so keeping that relaxed state helps a lot. And so if you watch baseball before the pitcher throws a pitch, they always take a deep breath. And so breathing is one of the most basic things that you can do when you're feeling anxious. Just try to, slow your breathing, take a nice big slow deep breath, especially a nice full breathing out. Because the more anxious we get, we tend to just keep breathing in and not breathe out so much. So if we take a nice deep breath out, then that's going to help our body stay calm. Because that's the opposite. That's what happens when we start to feel that fight or flight. We get anxious and our breathing shallows, meaning we take quick little breaths. So if you can, take some deep breaths, then that way you're telling your body and that anxious part of your brain, hey, we're okay. We got this. This is not a time when we should be afraid. Same way, if you can do things that like slow your heartbeat and just get in a more calm state. So there's things you could practice like, meditation, mindfulness, yoga, all those kind of things that are available to us to help us get in a more relaxed state. But a lot of times we know what helps us be calm. So it's really just kind of practicing that every day. Just like I said, with what you tell yourself is what helps you every day to be calm. So is it, maybe drawing or listening to music? But when we want to just give our full attention and think about, right now I'm practicing being calm, and give your full attention to whatever that thing is that you do that helps you be in a more relaxed state, and just really fully experience what does our body feel like when we're in that state? How can I remain calm? And then think about, the more you practice that, know how to get there, how to get in your calm state, then the better you're going to be when you do start to feel anxious to get back to that calm centered place.
That was perfect. Thank you. Thank you. We had one question that was going
Sure.
on. I'm gonna add a few things after that, but I'll let her go ahead and ask the question. And then I have a quick small activity really quick for everyone to try. So it's gonna help work through what you just talked about, that positive talk, because that practice is important And you're not going to start being, like you said, like with basketball, no one starts being an all-star or making an NBA team or even making a high school junior high team. Everybody starts from where they start from, and give yourself grace as you get through that is important. So Mackenzie, do you have a question? I see you had your hand raised earlier. You want to unmute, Mackenzie, if you're still there?
I don't even remember.
Don't remember? That's okay.
That's all right. That's all right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play a quick, so it's an audio book that I've been reading. It's called Positive Affirmations. So it's positive affirmations. I listen to it every day because I meditate when I'm like either in the shower or I'm like not watching TV or getting ready to go to sleep. So I'm going to play like a quick snippet of what the positive affirmations are. So like this one is simply about, there's a couple of different chapters. So it goes through health, it goes through wealth, it goes through different things like that. But this one's mainly focused on health, right? So this has been my book recently that I've been listening to. All right, so I'm going to play it for you all. If you have any questions, either close your eyes or just kind of think about it. And then once we're done, I want everybody to at least think about, we're going to practice with your own affirmations. So once we get done, for everyone that's here, that's in our program, just kind of thinking about for yourself and writing down 10 positive things you want to say to yourself every day, right? Just 10 things that you can say to yourself to help you get to a better space, even when you're practicing, right? So you don't necessarily have to tell us, but as you're listening to this is kind of the things that you could say to yourself that could help you progress to finding your own, as I'm sure you're all developing yourself and understanding yourself every day. So I know it's a process to that. So I'm going to go ahead and play this. Let me know if you can hear it.
This is the first affirmation practice of chapter 2.
Can everyone hear it?
Yeah, I can.
In this affirmation practice, our focus will be on health. The things you choose to believe about yourself control every life choice that you make. And it is so important that you make sure that your self-beliefs are pushing you up rather than pulling you down. I would like for you now to take yourself to a peaceful place where your mind can be given the opportunity to relax and your body the opportunity to rest. And when you have found that place of rest, you can then begin this meditation by closing your eyes.
I paused it for a minute, but if you can say these out loud, that helps. If you can say them out loud, that helps. If you're not comfortable saying it out loud, say it in your mind. But if you can say it out loud to yourself when you do your affirmations, it's going to help a lot. It's going to help a lot. So I'll let her go ahead and finish it.
Now is the time to listen to my words, and my words only. After every positive statement that I say, you will repeat it. Believe with all your heart and say it with all your passion. Ready to start? Now let's begin. Repeat after me. My health is improving day by day. 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 I love existing in this body that I live in. I love existing in this body that I live in. I love existing in this body that I live in. I love existing in this body that I live in. The choices I make refine my health every day. The choices I make refine my health every day.
Every day.
The choices I make increase my health every day. Increase my health every day. I am so grateful for the job that my body does every single second. The job that my body does every single second. I am so grateful for the job that my body does every single day.
So grateful for the job my body does every single day.
My immune system is strong. My immune system is strong. Everything is working well. Everything is working well. My lifestyle supports my lifespan. My lifestyle supports my lifespan. My lifestyle supports my life. My lifestyle supports my life. I am careful about what I put into my body. I am careful about what I put into my body. I am careful about what I put into my mind. I am careful about what I put into my mind. There are no boundaries to what my health can be. There are no boundaries to what my health can be. There are no limits to what my health can achieve. There are no limits to what my health can achieve. I am energized. I am active. I am energized. I feel good. I am active. I feel good.
I feel good.
I am well rested. I am mobile. I am well rested. I feel great. I am mobile.
I feel
great. My mind and body encourage each other. My mind and body encourage each other. My mind and body are one. My mind and body are one. Every cell in my body vibrates with optimal efficiency. Every cell in my body vibrates with optimal efficiency. I am a magnet for uplifting, elevating, and empowering energy. I am an example of uplifting, elevating, and empowering energy. The universe is constantly watching out for me. When I back myself, the universe backs me. I give thanks to my body by nurturing it with healthy food. I give thanks to my mind by nurturing it with healthy information. My mind knows what my body needs. My mind works off what my body receives. I heal quicker than I can be hurt. I always build back stronger. My health is an investment, not an expense. My well-being is an investment, not an expense. I remove all that is bad and replace it with all that is good. I remove all that is bad and replace it with all that is good. I love life when I love myself. I love myself when I make smart decisions. I prioritize myself before others. I prioritize myself before anything else. Terrific.
All right. So with that, usually there's also 10 deep breaths that you'll take. But just for the sake of time, we'll wait on that until later on. But that's something you can practice on your own. So like we kind of talked about before, it's great that we do these things together, but it makes you even better when you do these things at home. So like those are some positive affirmations that I listen to, and then it takes 10 deep breaths, so on and so forth, and that kind of helps me kind of relax when I'm in a relaxed state. Those are some really good points. For everyone that participated, I know everybody was muted, but if you participated, I appreciate you. I even do it myself, so it's always good. So those are some things anxiety-wise. We're gonna try to do more practice with everyone that's in this group, so that we consistently think about it. He kind of mentioned there's some great ways of kind of coping with anxiety on the mental side as well as the physical side. YouTube can be a great resource for guided meditation, yoga for the physical side. And then for you practicing yourself, it's just self-discipline, trying to make sure you do it and make yourself do it, because sure, you scroll social media for 10, 20 minutes, 30 minutes. Just use 10 of those minutes to look at, to meditate, to say your 10 affirmations out loud, take 10 deep breaths, invest in yourself, because you are your star player. And if you don't invest in your star player, there's no way that they can really be successful long term. So that was some great things. I know I kind of mentioned it earlier, but Joe, if you have any, as far as understanding friends or as far as helping out friends, do you have any way that they could help their friends at least better recognize when their friends are going through anxiety? Is there anything that they can do to help their friends, even though they're not a licensed professional? Is there anything they can do if their friends come to them in a moment of just panic or anything like that? Is there anything that they can do to help them?
Yeah, I think sure you don't necessarily have to be a therapist to help someone who's feeling anxious. So you can definitely just be there for somebody. A lot of it is, if they are in a state really where they're upset or frustrated, being there and being a good listener and really fully hearing to what they are saying and hear them talk. There's a lot of things that we can do to show someone that we're listening, and when we show someone we're listening, then we're also showing them that we care about them. And just doing simple things like, nodding our head, and then saying out loud little things that, that show you're listening, like, yeah, I hear you, man, or I gotcha, whatever you say to people, so they know that you're paying attention and you hear them and you care about them. And so all of that is really helpful, to just be there for someone and listen to them and understand how they're feeling. Those are huge things. And then if they are more anxious, the more calm you stay when you're around them, if you have been practicing these skills, then you'll have those skills available to you. And so you can think about, as another person is getting anxious, you want to take them seriously, but at the same time, you can stay calm for them, and like you be taking deep breaths to kind of model for them that it's okay, that we're safe here, that it's okay to be calm and relaxed. And the more calm and relaxed you stay, then that's going to help them become more calm and relaxed too. So, if it's a situation where they're anxious and they do need to relax, then the more calm you keep yourself, the more that's going to help them.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I think those are great skills, like you said. Hopefully, they can model those. You don't have to be perfect if you're that person that's hearing your friends say that, because, like you mentioned, you don't have to be a licensed professional, but at least understanding that you may not know every bit of the story, so just hear them for what they say. And if you can, try to be positive. If you can, that's the only thing I like to try to do, because it's very easy to point out all the negatives at times, especially from the outside looking in. But if you can at least provide some positive feedback or positive affirmation with them, kind of rebuild them up. I think that always helps. And obviously be honest with them. So if they, except, somebody says they're going to hurt themselves or something like that, obviously you want to act and help them any way they're willing to be helped. They know we care about them. So sometimes you have to tell their parent, you have to tell somebody that can help them. And it's not a bad thing that you do that. It's just kind of making sure they're okay. Because, the worst case scenario, you don't tell anybody, or you don't help anyone, or you choose not to tell anybody after that, something bad happens and you don't want to be in that situation. So you're never going to be perfect. But at least if you can communicate that, you try to be that positive voice, or try to, at least if they need help, tell somebody else that they need help, that may be able to help them if they're not willing to listen to you. Because some people aren't always willing to listen, unfortunately, but, not everyone has the right answers either, though. So it's a kind of flip of a coin. So hopefully you can provide some help and support in the process. So I hope everyone learned something today. As far as anxiety, how to cope, because we're getting close to the end of what our conversation is. We kind of asked the majority of the questions about coping, what anxiety looks like, just some details about that. So if anyone has questions, like if you have anything that we didn't talk about yet that you kind of want to ask more specifically about anxiety, or, if there's anything that's just on your mind, you can even privately message me. But Joe, do you have any final remarks, or anything you like to say while they're kind of thinking of what they would like to say, or any other questions that they may have in mind?
Yeah, the only thing is, I would think is it's just always a kind of a work in progress, right? That where we always have new challenges in our lives and things that we have to deal with, as we get older, and so kind of give yourself a break whenever you experience anxiety, and it's just your way of your body telling you, hey, we need to pay attention, and we need to take care of ourselves. And so, keep learning new skills to help you manage that and take care of yourself. And just the fact that you're here listening to TJ and all of his wisdom that he's sharing with you, that's definitely a big part of that, and keeping up that process of paying attention to your anxiety and what your body is telling you. And then if you're doing that regularly and keep practicing your skills on how to cope and how to be in a relaxed state, then that's going to really serve you well throughout your life.
Thank you, Joe. I appreciate that. Definitely try to rely on the experts in this field, but I mean, mental health, I think I've had my own personal battles with it, as well as family members that I've kind of seen firsthand. But we're all here to grow. We're all here in different spaces to grow, and honestly, it's not where you start, that's where you finish. So hopefully this help someone. And then I'm going to ask everyone that's in our program, either that watched the financial literacy video earlier this month, or that joined us today, just to kind of send either a short video about one or two things, or even a quick short video about one or two things that you learned, 2 or 3 things that you learned today, or things that you can use in the future, whether that's in the financial literacy scope or for your own mental health, things that you can practice. That can include how do you practice, things like that. So that way, you're not at the finish line yet. There is with mental health, I don't think there's a finish line. Like Joe can tell you, there's no finish line, because every day is a process, I think. And like they say, like success is never owned, it's rented every day, and rent is due every day, kind of thing. So your mental success, I gotta remember who I took that quote from, but I learned it from somebody. That's all I know, I learned it from somebody. But yeah, that's pretty much everything that I had. I'll give everyone like another 20 seconds if you want to take 5 deep breaths while we're doing it, just kind of think, and then we'll close up shop here, and I'll save the video and I'll start working on breaking it down so everybody has access to it that wasn't able to join us, or that wants to can review it. Because if you don't remember everything today, that's okay. Like, there's a lot of information in a short period of time, but hopefully we can get this back to you, and that way at least you all can process it and think through things, even as you get older, because as you get more mature, that also kind of affects how you think about things too. So we'll take like 5 deep breaths, and then we'll close up shop. Hopefully anybody has any questions. I'll start a timer for about, I'll do it for about 30 seconds or so, and then kind of go from there. Because honoring silence is something I'm not good at, but I'm working on that. So this is my way of honoring silence and letting you all think about things, because I talk a lot if you haven't noticed yet. So, all right, timer starting now. That was perfect, right at 30 seconds. So, and that was it. So 5 deep breaths, it does you a lot of good. But yeah, for anyone that does have questions, if you ever want to reach out to me, as far as following up, as far as questions, if you have something for Joe, I can always reach out to Joe to pass it on to him. Joe's been great, helping me a lot too, as I kind of went through some of my hard things last year when we first kind of met, and helped me process through. I was mentally working through what I was working through at the time. So I'm still developing and working through that. But if honestly, if everybody has questions, appreciate everybody for joining us today. I know Kenzie, JaMar'e, Manny, Riley, DJ, everybody that was in here today. So Joe kind of knows a little bit, and James, what we're working on. We're all going to go to the Pacers game in March. So this counts as one of your holistic development events. So congratulations for a lot of you that already filled out the survey. This month already counts for you. So this counts as one of your 5 or one of your 3, depending on when you started. And the free ticket to the Pacers game, so the free tickets, I already bought them, so they're good to go. So all you have to do is turn in and do your side of it, and I'll pick you up on March 18th, I believe it is, March 18th, and we'll go to the game, and I'll drop you off later that night. And parents should look forward to chaperone information coming out soon. So if you got questions, let me know. But otherwise, thanks again, Joe, for having you. And anybody else, if you have any quick questions, we're going to close up shop here. But any quick questions? Otherwise, it'll be adios until next time.
All right. Thanks, TJ. Thanks, everybody.